Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Spice and Joe back with another recap for you all. We'll be discussing Friday, November 8th. All right, so let's get right into the charts. We'll start with NQ. So on the NASDAQ, what we see here, right? This is where we closed. We closed over the adjusted contract all-time highs on November 7th, right? So you can see we had a very bullish day, November 7th. So that's where we closed, right? And going into the 8th, we were chopping the overnight session. We had this push up shortly after midnight into a new high, right? Wicks over. Right, some sweep action there, pushes back over, London opens here, and then it's like you get hit with this, I don't know what this was, right around 4:40, 4:50 in the morning. We just take this big tumble like Leonidas kicked somebody down the hole.
This is Sparta!
And then we came down here, right, and this is kind of where we bounced, right? So you had this overlapping supply here, right? We had CBC flipping here short, but you caught where these stuck sellers would try to get out, right? I talked about this. This is the same area we went to and we bounced. And then we're going into the open CBC long, although not a strong long flip here. Again, though, that showing you some strength here. EMAs are just about to cross, and you're pushing into VWAP, but we are still bullish, right? We have just made a higher low. CBC is long, so it's a bullish setup into the open. Slide over to the VIX. So VIX closed here, right? Push up, then ultimately fading down. So this coincides with the NQ in the market moving down, and then as they start to bounce, VIX is starting to fade off, and then going into the open, we are CBC short under the EMAs, right? The EMAs are in a bearish setup, 920, 3450, and we are looking at possible bullish open, right? One of the things that I was looking for is we have this old gap here. This gap right here originates, says August 19th to the 20th. It was a gap up that's unfilled. So we are pushing down into this gap. And I wanted to see us hopefully fail and fade through the gap, which we didn't, but we held this golden zone of the gap, which is textbook, and pushed back out the top. So hopefully in a few days, we will see this gap be filled to the downside, which would be bullish for the market overall. Let's go to ES. ES, same thing we talked about, bullish day, right? We're at all-time highs. Here's where we closed, 6,002. So we closed the day over the 6,000 big psych level. The same thing here. This is just a little drop off. So ES was holding its strength better. We break over VWAP, come back down, make a higher low right here. And you would know that it's a higher low going into the open because the CBC flips bullish and your 10-minute EMAs are pinched and they're starting to cross long. Then right before the open, you've reclaimed VWAP here. So, how could you trade this? If you wanted to get in long right off the open, I know you've broken over this pivot, so there'd be a little more risk there, but you would say that you'd be risking about 4 points to the low of this candle. However, you see, obviously, it pops up, breaks the session high, nearly breaks the all-time high, does it on the next candle, but you're still off to the races, very bullish. You do get this flip here, but it's into the EMAs on the 10-minute, and they can't push it any lower. You do get this double bottom right here. So let's zoom back out, look at all three charts, and try to find what were some of the best and most opportune setups for everybody. So, that's struggling. Here. I want to talk about NQ right here. So NQ going to the open, potentially bullish, right? Look how you get this big bullish pop. And what happens? It pops up right into this same area where it had originally sold off from. And the kick, from Leonidas was not as strong the second time around. It pushes down. You sweep under the orb, the opening range lows here, but no closes below, right? You pop back up and you're just really chopping. But ultimately, the standout thing here that I wanted to point out to everybody, and I remember from trading this live, the standout thing here was that EMAs were bullish, right? We got one candle close below the EMAs, the 9 and the 20. I'm talking about those ones being bullish. You have a green cloud here. One candle closed below, instantly reclaimed. Candle closes back above, candle closes inside of them, candle closing back above and back above VWAP, candle still closes above VWAP. You get this nasty wick down. This nasty wick down is terrible, but ultimately, it gets bought back up, and then finally you get your CBC flip. Okay, so if we were looking at this in terms of like where and how to trade, right, and wanting to have all three in alignment, you can see this VIX pop right here is into the EMAs instantly. I mean, it gaps down, right, from where this candle closes to where this one opens, pushes lower. That's bullish. See that ES responded and was maintaining a bullish sentiment. NQ is lagging for whatever reason, right? It has to do with the makeup of the stocks that are in it, the variety of different reasons. ES encompasses other things besides tech, right? NQ is your tech-heavy index. So you see that NQ is chopping, but ultimately, when you have this flip here, we're patient and we wait for it. You're bullish here at 1110. You're already bearish, right? At 1110, you're already down here, so you're bearish on VIX. And then 11, 10, you're up here, right? So you are all three now in alignment, but ES has already been moving. And if you're looking at it, well, ES is moving, but it appears to be weakening, right? But from here, you can just watch and see that, this was obviously trying to push, and it is consolidating. It is very choppy, but it is trying to go. Breaks the orb high. When you break the orb high and then you fail like that, you should expect to come down at least to the midway point of the range. Now, look at how this moves here. This was pretty tricky. It did move back down into the golden zone of the day from low to high. Okay. You also had a tweezer bottom setup right here on VWAP. And then one last thing that I like to call out that I'm going to make a separate video on is this candle pattern. Okay. So this is a strong reversal candle pattern. And when you consider right here that you have VWAP that you can't close below, not once, but twice, 2 candles in a row. You have the 34 and the 50 clouds that are pinching and flipping. That's the second thing. Then also you closed right on the 20 and then right back above the 20. So this is still a bullish stance for the market. The bulls are trying to hold higher here. So that's the other thing. When you get this CBC flip here, again, now you're seeing, look, they were stronger. They held a higher low here on VWAP, a lot more confluence here. This pushes up. This pulls down about halfway into the body. This 10-minute candle halfway pullback is a great entrance, like right here. Like this is the one. Look at the arrows I'm lighting up here. This becomes strong. It's strong because, like, look where you already came from and look how the bears failed to push it lower. So when the bears have failed here and you're trying to get in here, your likely target is a break of these highs. So even, this is one of the ones that if you wanted to play it, and maybe with mini contracts, you don't have this much risk tolerance, right? As anywhere an entry around here, around 210s, magnetized to the low. I'm not going to say you get the low. Let's just say you get in here around like 211 or something like that. Your absolute risk is, it looks bigger than it is, right? This is really only, quick math here, 15-ish points, depending if you get like 12, risk a little bit below here. We could call it the full 20. That might be a lot for some people on minis, but on micros, that's not. And then if 5 micros, that's half the risk of one mini, right? You're looking at about, if we call it 20 points, you're looking at about a $200 risk. Versus, ultimately this target of breaking new high of day is, again, if your entry was around 12, let's just say, make it nice and even. Oops. 21, 2. Look at that. Your entry was there. That's a 25-point target, right? So a little bit more than 1-to-1. You scale, and then look at that tremendous pop you get. You're able to scale again. You could easily have gotten 50 points here. We're risking 20. That's 2.5. So really good trade. Remember, too, guys, risk reward is only one component of the profitability equation. Your win rate is just as important, right? So you can't complete the equation without having risk reward and win rate being considered. Okay. All right. Anyways, from there, again, I'm focusing on NQ because I'm more of an NQ trader. You had this pullback here, these EMA taps without a successful flip. Those look bad. This is where the VIX strategy really becomes a challenge, right? Because I'm talking about this entry right here, and you're looking at it and saying, wow, VIX is long. So you had some divergence, right? VIX was still pushing up, but the market was still pushing up. And, again, this is where the VIX strategy fails us, right? Because if you were looking at this and saying, well, VIX is long, I want to go short. Well, why do you want to go short when this is long, right? So this is always the first one, and this is the added layer confluence. And if you don't have this added layer, that's okay, because I think you have enough here from the price action, as well as if we're looking at this CBC flip reclaims as well. 2 out of the 3 are showing you long, and the 2 out of the 3 are the market 2 out of 3, right? They're the indexes. This is VIX. So just being different. VIX is just being difficult if you want it that way. Market was still bullish. The price action is still bullish. The bulls are still holding, and the bears are not making up any ground. Again, you see this, we've seen this before, right? The wick over the the wick over the orb high here. Look how this area, bears are trapped, they get out. Remaining bears trapped, get out, squeezes. Sideways consolidation. Trapped bears, squeeze and get out. Okay, so consider that. Consider the price action. Look for the market participants, guys. Look to see where are people potentially stuck. Where people are stuck or where they're sitting are always good places for entries, exits, scales, etc. Right? If I was long, especially if I got long here, or even better, if I was long anywhere in here, I want to scale in these upper wicks. Why? I mean, I get the pivot high break, yes, and that's a great scale, but you don't always get the pivot high break. So I want to scale in here where I know there's bears sitting. Now, when we break over it and now we can't push lower, I know these bears are stuck. If I've got stuck bears, what are they going to do? They're going to buy. So if they're going to buy, I should buy too. And the bulls are already trying to buy. So now it's two other parties trying to buy. You jump in, you buy. And then, you know, cha-ching, you sell, right? And you make some good money and you trail your stop. And then when we come back down here and your CBC flips short, right there, you know, after such a big move and you're so extended, you flip short. That's where your trail stop. How much risk you want to tolerate. But really, this is, you know, over here would be the first time that we close underneath after such a big move and you get out. Here on NQ, really important, really tight range day. This right here, it fails to break the high. I want to just call this out, right? Just barely fails to break it. That is a very bearish signal. This candle right here, again, like I said, I wanted to do a video about this reversal pattern. Get this one. Very similar, right? Just showing you look to pop, starts to flush, and it continues to flush all the way to VWAP, and then you gross consolidation to the day, right? But really gross price action day on NQ, pretty favorable on ES. VIX was divergent, not our best day. However, you know, after such a big move, you know, big week of big moves, right? If we just, let's just look at the weekly candle really quick as we're wrapping up this week. I mean, look at that. That is just an absolute missile of a candle. Let's look at it on ES. And add all these. Look at that. Absolute missile, right? And then if we look at the VIX, yeah, look at this huge, humongous drop of it, right? So all three of them very extended, had big moves, you know, so choppy, kind of gross, not perfect type of day on a Friday. It makes sense, right? Hope you all traded well. Hopefully this video is helpful to you. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you have any questions, hit me up down below. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Appreciate y'all for watching.